Tonight, we're talking about Richard freaking Nixon. Yes, that Nixon. Who, fun fact, was from Orange County just like me. And look, we've had some very dramatic presidents, so I'm not going to sit here and call Nixon the craziest. Let's just say he was the OG suspicious president, the prototype for, bro, what are you doing energy. Watergate? Yes. Tax fraud? Yes. And apparently, that man was deep in the UFO files. Let's get into it. To understand this moment matters, you have to understand the world Nixon walked into. This was a country still shaken by assassination. John F. Kennedy had been killed in broad daylight. Martin Luther King Jr. was gone. Robert Kennedy was gone. Trust in government wasn't cracking, it was already broken. Abroad, the Cold War wasn't theoretical. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a nuclear standoff where a single miscalculation could end civilization. Missiles were aimed. Radar screens stayed lit. False alarms weren't just embarrassing, they were potentially catastrophic. At the same time, technology was accelerating faster than policy could keep up. Satellites were filling Earth's orbit. Experimental aircraft were being tested in secret. And the race to the moon wasn't just about exploration. It was about dominance. So when strange objects appeared on radar, when pilots reported things outperforming known aircraft, this wasn't dismissed as curiosity. It was treated as a national security question, because in a world balanced on nuclear tension, anything unknown in the sky mattered. The late 1960s, Richard Nixon inherited more than Vietnam and the Cold War. He stepped into office at the exact moment the U.S. government was quietly reassessing everything it claimed to understand about the world, including what was in its skies. For over 20 years, the Air Force had run Project Blue Book, officially studying UFO reports. Publicly, they said the answers were simple: misidentifications, weather balloons, nothing to worry about, no threat, no evidence of advanced technology, no reason to continue. Case closed. Except, sightings didn't stop. Pilots kept reporting objects they couldn't identify. Radar kept tracking things that didn't behave like known aircraft. So the investigations didn't really end. They just stopped being public. And that's the shift that matters. Because from this point on, the question wasn't, are UFOs real? It was, who is allowed to talk about them? And if you were alive during the Cold War, you already know what the answer usually was. But behind closed doors, the question wasn't, is this real? It was, what do we do with what we can't explain? And Nixon wanted briefings, not headlines, briefings. Project Blue Book, the big Air Force UFO investigation, closed under Nixon. And the public was told, nope, nothing to see here. But behind the scenes, Nixon basically scooped up the classified files like they were Costco samples. He controlled CIA UFO intelligence, secret crash reports, special access programs, all the black budget aerospace stuff. This man had all the UFO chisme. So let's pause for a second. Because before we go further, it's important to understand Jackie Gleason wasn't just some random celebrity. He was one of the most powerful figures in American television at the time, a cultural giant, someone presidents actually listened to. Gleason and Nixon weren't best friends, but they did move in the same elite circles, and Nixon respected him, trusted him. What most people don't know is that Gleason had a long-standing fascination with UFOs and space. Not in a tabloid way, in a serious Cold War-era curiosity shaped by rockets, satellites, and nuclear anxiety. And in an era where information was tightly controlled, being curious didn't make you crazy. It made you cautious. Because when the most powerful people on Earth didn't fully understand what was in the sky, they paid attention to anyone who asked the right questions.
This is where history and legend begin to overlap.